How's it going, everybody? The Grand Rail fan here, and welcome back to another model train review. Today, if it wasn't obvious by the two models that you see in the background, I'm going to be looking at another cab forward. This time by MTH. It's no secret that the cab forward is my personal favorite type of locomotive of all time, hence why I've got 3 of them. And so today I'm going to be looking at the MTH version and kind of compare and contrast how they how this one stacks up to the other two, which I should mention. This one's by BLI and this one's by Intermountain. I have never done a video on the Intermountain one yet, and I don't really plan on doing so anytime soon because unfortunately mine is a first run which has mechanical problems, and those mechanical problems just recently started flaring up. So unfortunately this locomotive does not run, so it wouldn't be fair of me to give it a review video of its own if it's not already working properly. So without further ado, let's get into this MTH one. Okay, let's get into this box. It's a nice typical decorated box by MTH. You can pause right there if you want to see any of the side information. Camera focus, yeah, something like that. One thing that amazed me about this locomotive is the fact that this thing can operate on an 18-inch radius curve, which for a locomotive of this size is just unheard of. Is quite rare. The other two locomotives, the other two cab forwards that I've got in the background here, the minimum curve radius for that is 22 inches. So you need a little more wider curves. But I would personally still recommend doing wider curves for such a big locomotive like this. But it does still amaze me that I can run this cab forward on 18-inch radius curves and it runs fine. So normally these, well, at least in past most recent reviews, the box is not this big. So I'm gonna have to be a little careful about opening this, because normally I would open this on the floor. Also, I have had this locomotive already for about a year and I've ran it multiple times and whatnot, so this is another one of those, yeah, it's not a brand new locomotive or I just bought it. I did buy it secondhand from my local model train store, Whistle Stop. They do a tent sale every year, and this was one of the locomotives that I saw at that tent sale, and obviously the cab forward is my most favorite locomotive. I don't already have one, so I was like, yes, mine. I'm gonna have it. I want big choo-choo. And to be fair, I got this for $320. Given that most cab forwards fetch 400 plus on secondhand websites, I'd say this is pretty damn good. So normally there would be some paperwork or a user guide manual. However, this one did not come with one. So, yeah. And also these have been out of production for I don't know how many years. So if you are interested in getting one of these, eBay or any secondhand websites, or if you're lucky enough to find one at a train show that's not for a ridiculous amount of money, is your best bet. So going through the extra bag parts, we have an extra set of drivers right here. Very nice. We got right here, we got a little screwdriver. We got a little screwdriver for unscrewing the drivers if you want to replace them. Very nice. And we got an extra bag, possibly with extra parts. Okay, so the tender and the locomotive are of course separate, so I'm gonna get the tender out first. You get these little papers. I do like these MTH branded papers. They are really nice looking. Okay. Another good thing about this. So MTH, if for those who don't already know, is mostly known for O scale. I would say they're like a direct competitor almost to that of Lionel. But they did make a good number of HO scale products, and I must say, especially with this cab forward, that it feels like it's made out of almost all die cast, and I absolutely love that because it means it's a nice weighty model. It's a good runner. It's good quality, and this thing can definitely pull like an actual cab forward. So that's good to know. Okay, let's get this out, big boy. Lovely. Lovely stuff here. This thing weighs a good amount. I mean, you can feel the weight. This thing is this feels like quality, and it also feels like it's die cast, which probably would explain why this thing is an absolute brick. Alrighty. Good, very good quality. Alrighty. Let's get this packaging out of the way. Okay. Let's get this on the track here. Big engine. And then the tender, as you can see, has a little metal rod that you can just slip into the rod here, the connector here. And there you go. First impressions, this locomotive, I really liked the fact that it was die cast. Again, it's not very common for a model train like this to be completely made out of die cast metal, but it's always nice to see. So without further ado, let's get into the history and the detail of this very uniquely designed locomotive. So the cab forward as a locomotive type was first introduced in 1910. These locomotives were specifically designed to handle the steep grades and long snow sheds of the Sierra Nevada mountains down in California. The Southern Pacific Railroad was really the only railroad that were buyers of this type of locomotive, especially here in the U.S. I know there was a couple of other like European designs or one-offs or experiments that happened, but SP was the only railroad that, the only railroad that really had a need for them. Like I said, they needed a powerful locomotive to go over the steep grades of Donner Pass, the Sierra Nevada mountains down in California. Also, because of there being so many snow sheds and so many tunnels, right? Regular steam locomotives would oftentimes asphyxiate their crews because typically a steam locomotive has the funnel or the smokestack facing forwards, facing that way, and the cab would be in the back there on a normal steam locomotive. Well, whenever you're going through a tunnel, that exhaust smoke has nowhere to go but in your face. And so the crews basically, got asphyxiated or got a bunch of smoke breathe in their faces, and of course that's not fun. So this was the reason why they had the cab forward as it is. Basically, the cab is in the front, the crew is in the front, the smokestack and the smoker are in the back, and so it eliminates the problem. And also, while you're at it, um, that because the cab and the driver and the crew are in the front, they have so much more better visibility from the cab of the steam locomotive than they otherwise would have. However, that being said, there were a lot of safety concerns that in case of a head-on collision, there is little to no protection for the crew, which is very valid because normally in a steam locomotive, the boiler or the entirety of the engine would be able to take the brunt of the impacts, say if there was a head-on collision, or in a lot of cases, if there was a collision with, say, an automobile. Thankfully, the cab forwards actually have never had any reported incidences with grade crossings, so we can only speculate what it would be or what would happen to a cab forward if it came into contact with, say, an automobile at a crossing. Um, that being said, so interestingly, the whistle is all the way back here, where the smokestack is. And so, because the cab is over here and the whistle's all the way back here, motorists would not be able to hear this locomotive very well coming. And so, later versions of the cab forward started having horns. Although, looking at my Intermountain AC-12 and this MTH AC-6, I can't see a horn on the front, but normally, like with later designs, they put a horn on the front of the locomotive just so they had some sort of warning device towards the front, because the whistle being all the way at the back, despite how loud it is, it's it's all the way at the back of the locomotive, so anybody who is in front of this locomotive isn't going to hear the whistle so well. But that being said, they were very successful. They did a good almost 50 years of service from when they were first introduced to when the last cab forward ran over Donner Pass. Thankfully, there is one survivor, that being my 4294, which I have a model of, and I have had the privilege of seeing multiple times when I used to live in California, and is the only survivor, which is a little sad, but at least, hey, there's one survivor left. Now, with that being said, the detail of this MTH model is very nice. Again, I do like it when they make a locomotive that is die-cast. These wire handrails, it's a metal wire, so that's nice. This piping that goes along here, yeah, it's plastic, but that's still okay. You got more piping around here. We got the front truck here. We've got the normal headlights, the number boards, class lights, which don't look like they light up, which is a bit of a pity. And then on the top here, we've got a little roof door that can actually open and close. So that's a nice little feature. Everything from the safety valves to the domes, all the way back to the whistle. These are all metal components. Also, I don't know why the smokestack has this particular feature over it. I don't know if that's normal or not. I just noticed that it's normal on my AC4, my AC6, and yet for some reason on my AC12 there is none. There's the brackets, but there's not the actual thing itself. So very interesting. Getting back to the detail, we have more wired handrails towards the back, and then of course, as I mentioned earlier, the tender body is entirely made out of die cast. The handrails are all wired, and they're nice and sturdy for the small parts they are. Nice crisp lettering, and again, more metallic rivet detail that you can see and feel on the side of the tender here. Towards the back of the tender, you got an operational headlights. Again, more wire handrails, ladders, and so forth with a nice knuckle coupler. So it's a good, solid amount of detail. And, well, I wish that MTH would continue to produce HO scale trains, because I think this is because I have a couple other examples of some MTH trains and I really do like them, and I really wish MTH would still continue to make them. I don't know if they got bought out by another company, or their tooling for these HO scale locomotives like went to another company or something, but I really wish like these locomotives would continue to be produced. Unfortunately, they're not, which is a bit of a shame, but hey, what can you do? I'm not $1 million company. That being said, it's got its Proto Sound 3.0, DCC and sound equipped, and also it's got a very nice smoke unit that I personally like. So without further ado, I'm going to transfer over to the operations section. Here we go. Alrighty then, let's go ahead and apply track power. Now, with all MTH locomotives, you have to press F3 for the for the startup and shutdown sequence. I'm gonna go ahead and activate that. And if you can hear a little whining in the background, that is actually the fan for the fan-driven smoke unit, which is a very nice feature. I do like this smoke unit because of the fan-driven. There's a good amount of a good little plume of smoke that you can kind of see. You can't really see with a camera, but you can definitely see with your own eyes. Starting with the headlights. Oh yes, I forgot to mention, most MTH locomotives also have crew dialogue, either in the background or upon activation. So starting with the headlight, yeah, it's a nice standard headlights. It looks like it partially lights up the number boards that are to either side of the headlight. I've lost my train of thought there. No pun intended. Okay, now I saw a headlight on the back of the tender. I'm gonna flip the locomotive in reverse. Does it work? Yes it does. Very nice. Okay.
Check on that water level, will you?
Alrighty. Let's see. And then I saw. Okay, so I actually had to look up the user guide manual for the MTH locomotive, for the MTH cab forward. And according to that, there's an additional lighting feature such as the cab interior, and I believe that is F5. Is it? Ah, yes it is. So if I press F5, the number boards on the top, towards the top of the cab, as well as the cab itself, light up. There's a decent amount of detail inside the locomotive, as well as painted crew figures, which is always nice. So I'm gonna start off with the Zebel, F1. Very nice bell. The whistle. Okay. And F3 is the startup shutdown sequence. F5 is the additional lighting. Don't know what F4 does. Looks like F6 just kind of quiets things down. F7 apparently is the volume. 8 is 8 mute? I don't even know. No. So normally in these review videos I would do a sort of run by of this particular locomotive. However, two things. One, my MRC Prodigy decided to lock itself into a consist mode. So whenever I try to select locomotive number 3, which that's another issue that I'll get into in a sec, but every single time I press locomotive number 3 on the controller, it always goes to consist 3, not locomotive 3. So the only reason why I can even show you the lights and sound features of this locomotive right now is because I have this locomotive in consist number 3. I'm sure that's just MRC's like non-user friendly and very confusing properties. I don't know why I still have this system. I am trying to switch over to NCE or Digitrax, whichever one works out best for me, but like this is what I've got and this is what I have to work with in the meantime. So unfortunately this time around, this video, I unfortunately cannot provide a runaround because for some reason it is not letting me have any movement control of this locomotive whatsoever, which is a real shame because this locomotive is a joy to run and the smoking feature is of course really fun. However, this locomotive is secondhand, so I cannot confirm or deny whether or not it comes with its own thing of smoke fluid or if it comes with a funnel for the smoke fluid. Again, you could use Proto Smoke or JT Mega Smoke. Either or is a good option. But with that being said, it's a really nice locomotive. I do like the die-cast construction. It's a solid puller. I love the smoke unit. I just wish more locomotives would be like this. And I hope that some other companies will make more of them outside of brass. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you down the line.